Hello everyone, welcome back to your English e-learning class. And in today's lecture, we are going to cover two topics. Our first topic is verbs that show time, and the second topic is story writing. Let us begin with our first topic, that is from your grammar book, Chapter 15, Verbs that show time. Kids, in our previous lectures, we have already discussed about verbs. Now in this chapter, I'm going to tell you about verbs used in the present tense and past tense. Kids, verbs are words that show what the subject does, says, has, or is. Verbs have different forms. All forms of verbs come from base verbs. Like every verb has a base form, and that base form keeps on changing according to the tense. A base verb or the base form of the verb is the simplest form of a verb without any special ending. Example, sleep, run, cry, fly, swim. These all are the examples of base form of the verb. Nothing is added to these base forms. A base form changes its form to show tense. Tense means the time in which that verb or the action is happening. Like play is the base form of the verb, but in present tense we use it as play. In past tense we use it as played, but in future tense we will use it as will play. So these are the three tenses in which the base form changes. Now kids, in this slide, you must have a question that what is tense? Tense indicates the time or of action or an event. All action verbs come from the base form of doing verbs. Doing verbs means action verbs. Example, mother is cutting vegetables. In this sentence, if we take the verb, then the base form of the verb is cut. But when we are using it in ing form, in continuous tense, we are adding ing to cut. So this is changing of a base form of the verb according to the tense. Different forms of verb can be used to show time of action. There are different forms of a single verb and they can be used and on different times showing different actions. Actions that have already taken place are said to be in the past. The actions which have already happened, that is past, they show which tense? They show past tense. Verbs in simple present forms indicate habits and general truths. Here, the verbs simply end with s or es. Like, if we say children play in the garden. But if we say Jimmy plays in the garden, then Jimmy, because it is singular, we will add an s or es with the verb. So this is the simple present form of the verb, but used with s and es because the subject used here, Jimmy, is singular. So the sentence is Jimmy plays in the garden. Now, verbs in simple past tense. Now that was simple present tense where we talk about our habits or the general truths. But in past tense, we indicate action that has already happened in the past. Here, the verb simply ends with ed maximum times. Maximum times, the verb simply ends with addition of ed with the verb. Example, that was Jimmy plays in the garden. Here it is Jimmy played in the garden. So played, by adding ed to play, we have made its past form, that is played. Now some verbs do not change their forms at all, even when they express actions that happened in the past. Example, cut, hit, let, put and read. Like I will say, I read a book. Now, if I will talk about the past tense, then also my verb form won't change. It will be I read a book. The spelling will remain same, only the pronunciation will change. I cut vegetables. But if I will say I already have done the cutting of vegetable, it will be I cut vegetables. The tense won't affect the spelling of the word. It will remain same in present, past and future tense. Now kids, on your screen you all can see some present form of the verb, that is base form of the verb, and past form of the verb. In present tense, the base form of the verb doesn't change, but in past tense, it generally changes. Like take becomes taken. With take, we have added a N. Work becomes worked. Play became played. Cook became cooked. Attract became attracted. Write became wrote. And buy became bought. So these are the base form of the verbs which has changed to past form. Now kids, here we have learned that the base form of the verb always changes to other forms according to the tenses applied. And in this chapter, basically we are learning about the past tense form, where a simple base form of the verb or the present form of the verb is simply changing. For this, I request you all to go through all the verb forms given on page number 76 of your grammar books. Now, kids, at the end of this, I hope that the chapter was clear to you all. If you have any doubt, you can ask me in the live sessions. Now, kids, proceeding to your next topic, that is story writing. Kids, story writing is a creative writing skill where we have to frame a story which should be interesting and creative. So, now points which you should remember for writing a story are: there should be proper beginning and a logical ending of the story. That means the proper framing of the story should be there. Develop the storyline well. That means your story should be interesting. That in the starting, as I said in the starting, that it should be creative. Describe events and actions clearly. Whatever things we are writing, it should be clearly mentioned and it should have a logical connection between the events. Do not make the story very lengthy. Give a suitable heading to your story. Now, these key points, if you will remember, you can easily frame a story. One story we have given in the notebook content provided to you along with this video. You can write it in your notebooks and learn it.